This isn't going to be an easy topic to talk about, but it's one that's very important. Statement from the National Hockey League. This came out around midday Eastern time. It's now 1:30, so about an hour just over ago. Two sentences. Quote, incidents of racism, whether they occur in hockey or anywhere else, are abhorrent. The NHL will continue to make its resources available to the hockey ecosystem to educate and inform with the goal of making the game welcoming and safe for all players and fans. Two sentences. Now, why is that important, you may be asking? Over the past week, two major incidents have happened. Racist incidents. First off, during an AHL game between the San Jose Barracuda and the Tucson Roadrunners, respectively, the AHL teams of the Sharks and the Arizona Coyotes. A guy by the name of Christoph Habrick, I'm probably saying his last name wrong, doesn't deserve it. Forward, he made a racist gesture to Boku Imama. That sounds familiar because this happened, a racial slur to him in 2020 from Brandon Manning in the AHL. All right.
2 years ago, I think, to the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I haven't found video of this. If you look it up on YouTube, it's really weird. You keep finding these, don't look it up on YouTube. You're not going to be able to find it. And the videos you end up finding are very strange. Anyway, Habrick has gotten 30 games through the incident. Also, yesterday in an ECHL game between the Jacksonville Icemen and the South Carolina Stingrays, a Jacksonville player by the name of Jack Pinata made a monkey-like gesture to Stingrays D, Jordan Subban. Now, Pinata currently is suspended indefinitely pending a hearing, which is fine work by the ECHL, but they're not off the hook. Alex will mention that in a second. So these two major events have happened. I believe Habrick he put out an apology. We're going to read that in a second. Wasn't great. Started off well, then just tailed off almost immediately. We'll be working with the NHL's inclusion program, stuff like people like Anson Carter in that. Before we dive into those incidents, and we're going to read PK Subban's tweet because he's defending his little brother, understandably so. For those two major events to happen, and you obviously what's going on with the HTA, and they called out more action 2 weeks ago needed to take place, and that's the best the NHL can do. Two sentences.
Also,
I don't know where we are.
Just to add, it's the same week that Willie O'Reed just got his number retired, and we had the discussion about it last episode, or did we? I don't remember if it happened in time for the last episode. We mentioned
it was a joke that in it, Willie O'Reed had thanked Gary Bettman and the league's work, but it was outrageous.
Oh, okay. Well, we brought it up, and literally the next episode, and we record every 3 or 4 days. Yeah, we have to have another discussion about this. It just seems kind of ridiculous.
For me, good on Jordan Subban. I've seen the video a few times circulating, but good on him that he was able to really defend himself, and he really was taking a stand with this, especially with his tweet. And I like the support that he's getting from not just the players, but also the media, Elliot Friedman, Jeff Merrick. They also tweeted about it.
Yeah.
What was it to do with that stuff? To PK Subban's tweet, I think Friedman was I want to put more attention here. So I want to say So Alex, the original ECHL segment, was it originally the ECHL didn't mention the player's name?
So it mentioned the name. This is the ECHL statement. Okay. This was from, I want to say, a couple hours ago. The ECHL on Sunday announced that Jacksonville's Jacob Pineta has been suspended indefinitely pending a hearing under the collective bargaining agreement as a result of his actions in ECHL game number 474, South Carolina at Jacksonville on January 22nd. Pineta is suspended under Rule 28, supplementary discipline as a result of his actions at 23 seconds of overtime.
The problem is, so they named him, but they haven't mentioned, maybe that exact ruling is to do with unsportsmanlike conduct, probably racism, but they didn't show it. Now, and there is, unlike the Imama stuff, there's video of the Subban stuff. And you clearly see the other guy doing a slouched. It looks like he's trying to be an ape. It's just purely unacceptable. I'm going to read. Okay, so what would you guys like me to read first? Subban's tweets, or should I go to the apology and the Amama stuff?
I think
Sorry,
Subban's.
are we talking about the AHL stuff or ECHL stuff? So,
Let's start with the ECHL because PK got involved.
okay.
Now here's what's interesting is PK Subban is, I don't think he's actually, he's not always super vocal about, what, like he rarely, I shouldn't say that because he's a very big presence on social media, but PK Subban, I think, has rarely gone on a rant, if ever. And listen, he's a very important figure in this game. And obviously he's been very publicly a big target of racism in the past. And I think you can definitely feel the personal stuff here because it's his freaking little brother. So first off, he quotes the video of it happening and says, "They don't call the East Coast League the jungle because my brother and the other black players are the monkeys. Hey, Jacob Panada," he tags him. "You shouldn't be so quick to delete your Twitter or your Instagram account. You will probably be able to play again. That's what history says." But things, okay, hold on. He didn't, but things are changing. Now, not just the hockey world knows your true colors. Your hometown of Belleville knows. Your family and friends know you're a fraud. With everything that has gone on in the past couple of years in the world, I'll say with all due respect to everyone who has an opinion, this isn't a mistake. We all know what's okay and what's not. Even your own teammate wanted to see your clock get cleaned. This happens a lot, and it never gets exposed in the lower leagues. One thing that I love about this is Jordan's teammates standing up in there and showing support. Love that, and then he just gives some shout outs on that. We don't see sort of veil down PK a lot, but that speaks it. One thing I want to say is I appreciate his teammates standing up for him as well. It just sucks that what has to happen is teammates have to step up here, because I don't think it's a hockey thing, but I hate that racism has to be answered with physical force. I am in no way blaming Jordan Subban for going after the guy. Perspective, if that was me, I would have done it. And I can only imagine the stuff he's been through before. I'm a white guy. I have no idea what that's like, but it's probably not the first time it's happened to Jordan Subban or his family. We've heard stories of when PK was a kid. Yeah. Anything else on the ECHL stuff before I go to the Boku and Mama stuff?
So I just want to read the statement from the opposing team.
Please. Oh, yes, please.
I lost the what, I don't remember what team he plays for. What team does Jordan Subban play for? I cannot remember.
He plays for the South Carolina Stingrays.
Okay, if one of I can't find their statement, but it's drastically different than the Jacksonville Icemen. This is the statement from the Jacksonville Icemen, by the way, affiliate of the New York Rangers. The Jacksonville Icemen are cooperating with the league review of the incident that occurred in last night's game against South Carolina. As an organization, our fans, partners, and sponsors know our core values, and we intend to make comments and decisions after completion of league review.
No. Daniel, do you have anything to add?
I think right now it's really early with what's going on with things that I already knew that this was going to be the expectation in terms of these statements, that the NHL always does this when it comes to these types of cases where it's like, oh, we have to, or like for this one, it's just for Jordan Subban. It's just, they're going to say, there's going to be an internal investigation. We're going to see how things go. But I think this one's pretty clear cut in terms of the video, in terms of what happened, in terms of what's been spoken already. And again, like what we said before, what the NHL is doing, what these leagues have been doing, is that I'm not surprised on how things are going. But on one hand, I like that this is getting enough noise, especially through the Subban family, and that's being amplified through social media. Like, I think that was a very good thing that they did, but at the same time, I'm not anticipating much in terms of what the ECHL is going to do. I'm really not. At this point, I'm just, if they do something, great. But if I'm going to predict anything, if I'm going to foreshadow anything, I think it's going to be a slap on the wrist, and it's disappointing for me.
Daniel, I don't know about that. If the AHL just hold up this 30-gamer to the AHL incident, I think the public pressure for this is going to be enormous, especially when PK is getting involved. So also, there's just two statements I want to read, because not only did the Stingrays, I found it, but it's the Stingrays one. I also have that of the Hershey Bears. So because the Stingrays are the ECHL team, I've just learned, of the Caps, and obviously Hershey or the middle ground. So first I'll read Hershey's statements. The Hershey Bears stand with Jordan Subban. We condemn acts of racism in all forms, including those gestures made towards Jordan during the South Carolina Stingrays game at Jacksonville on January 22nd. There should be no tolerance for racism in our game or our society. Diversity, equality, and inclusion are incredibly important to the Hershey Bears, and we offer our support to Jordan and the entire Stingrays organization. So this is the statement from the Stingrays. It's from their president, Rob Cancanet. The South Carolina Stingrays are disgusted and appalled by last night's incident involving Jordan Subban. The organization stands in support of our friend and teammate, Jordan, as well as all other players who continue to deal with racism and discrimination. This behavior has to stop and is unacceptable. At this point, and again, I think I made this point maybe last month when we talked about, I can't remember which incident exactly it was, but the Danishkin stuff overseas, that's one thing. With all the noise been around hockey and how it needs to get better culturally, gives even more weight to these incidents. And to go to the Boku Amama stuff.
Can I just, go ahead. I just add some? Yeah. Because I think it pertains to both, but I think because the ECHL is at a lower level, I think just before we move on.
Yeah.
Not every team has an ECHL affiliate.
Yeah.
Both of these teams do.
Which that's plenty.
Which to me, and listen, I know there's going to I don't want to just pretend like I'm fighting with people online for no reason, but there's going to be a group of people who I know disagree with this. I very much believe that the NHL affiliates should somewhat be involved in both these incidences. I just think in terms of you running an organization properly, the top level, and when it comes to this, should be involved. I know people will disagree because they say business. This is business. I don't care. Don't people conflate business with being directly involved with money? Business is how a business is run, and that goes with every part of it. And I think very much this is part of running an organization that is a business.
Yeah, I agree. This is all part of the organizations with everything, where they have to kind of show a sense of responsibility for it, saying, okay, this is part of our team and this is something that happens. So, it's on us, the Washington Capitals, to say that let's release a statement here, or like the Hershey Bears, let's release a statement here. Let's actually say something immediately, and let's not just wait on it.
Let's definitely put some heart into it, unlike the NHL.
Remember when the Rangers last year put out the statement after the Tom Wilson stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't necessarily it wasn't. It really wasn't. They didn't have to go public with that, because they don't have to go public with this either. So, but they should.
Here's what's the thing about the ECHL, right? Is because of, again, as you mentioned, teams didn't. Michael McNiven, right? Had a hard time getting a spot in the AHL for Montreal, and there was a year where he played the ECHL. He had to be loaned. You got to fight for a spot there, and you're fighting not to get an NHL spot. You're fighting to get an AHL spot. And remember how at rookie tournaments every year there's one guy that gets hurt because some dummy brains a guy thinking that's going to get me a spot. If you're in the ECHL, you know what's really going to get you noticed? What's going to get you a spot that stuff. Really? Give your head a shake. What a garbage human being. Sorry, to talk about the Boku Amana stuff. First off, I'm going to read the quote-unquote apology from Christoph Hrebeck. There's two different photos here, so just give me a second. I am ashamed of today's events and embarrassed by the actions that led to my suspension. I want everyone to know that I'm very sorry for what occurred and take full responsibility for my actions. Okay, first off, he mentions Amama's name later, doesn't mention him to start. But you know what? Overall, not a bad way to start the apology. Okay, whatever. People should know that I had absolutely no inappropriate intent. The gesture was made in the heat of battle. And while I didn't mean anything racist by what I did, I realize now through my own ignorance that my gesture could be interpreted. I alone am responsible for that. It was terrible, and I make no excuse. You just did. It was terrible. Sorry, yeah, and I make no excuses. When I heard about Boko's reaction to the gesture, I was horrified by what I had done. Boko is a player I respect, and I am so sorry for putting him through this situation. I sent a personal apology to Boko and sincerely hope that he will forgive me. I also want to apologize to the American Hockey League, the San Jose Barracuda, the Tucson Roadrunners, and to my teammates for my unacceptable actions. I fully accept the consequences of my actions, and I'm not appealing the decision imposed by the AHL. I am working with Anson Carter, Kim Davis, and the NHL's Player Inclusion Committee to participate in education and training on racism and inclusion. I know I will be judged by my future conduct. If given the opportunity, I will do everything in my power to atone for my actions and lead by example. Listen, the end of that, I want to show I have receipts. Fine. The start of it, I'm sorry. No excuses. Fine. But then making guys.
It's the middle part. It's like, it sounds like a whole different letter of what he was saying initially.
What in the world? Making a gesture like a monkey towards a person of color. What is that supposed to mean? What else am I supposed to interpret that as other than a racist action?
Yeah.
What am I missing? You know,
Nothing.
like I'm doing an English minor. I do a lot of creative, like reading and writing.
Yeah.
I know meanings between stuff, symbolism. There aren't a lot of different ways to interpret what you were doing, buddy. What please, guys, like, am I crazy?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I was actually going to bring up that same point. Like, I'm just, he lost me in the middle. He completely lost me in the middle with that. Like, great, you're going to do all these things. And I think I'm all for second chances. And as long as he comes out with this, with the receipts, I just, to that middle part where it's like the intent, but what does that, like, what, I'm curious, as you said, what do you think that meant?
No,
like, what were you doing there? What
heat of the battle too?
Oh, that's such a lazy. That's a lazy excuse.
Yeah,
are you in the trenches of the Somme in World War I? What are you talking about?
That's a lazy excuse.
Sure, I read Boku Amama's statement.
Sure, yeah.
This is via Twitter. I've been dealing with situations like this my entire life. As a person of color playing youth hockey through junior and now twice as a professional, this keeps happening to me over and over again. We have enough to worry about as a pro hockey player, and it saddens me when anyone has to deal with these types of issues. It's frustrating and disheartening that this is still going on in 2022, sorry. Even though I honestly believe the sport has made positive strides, we still have a long way to go to educate the ignorant and to make hockey a safe place for everyone. My hope is that people learn from this and that that someday hockey will truly be for everyone. That's the last part. My hope is that people learn from this and that someday hockey is for everyone. Because it's from someone's personal experience explaining that it isn't, and no more proof than the last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I like that the AHL did they're that the ECHL hasn't done yet. But they're making sorry, what's his name again? The offender.
You're on mute, Adam.
Christoph Krabik?
Yes, him. He's going through that the NHL's diversity program. That's smart. That's what I've been asked. That's what we've been saying should be done in these incidences, having these programs set up.
Anything else, guys? Or should we move on? It's do better. Do better, people.
You know what? I don't know if I'm asking for too much here, but remember in the bubble when not the George Floyd. My God, I don't. What happened after George Floyd?
Breonna Taylor? Or
no,
timelines?
When they did the press conference during the Black Lives Matter protest.
Oh yeah.
When the NBA canceled like a few days of games.
Yeah.
And then the NHL had their press conference, and at the front was each conference had different players, but in the West it had about almost everybody was there. And then in the East it was it was just the
captains
four
of each team. Yeah.
It was like, I think I'd hope for this time around we have a response similar to what the West did. In terms of just people speaking out, not just the people of color speaking out, because that doesn't clearly that hasn't gotten us anywhere, because these incidents are happening time and time and time again. If we just had, like the leaders of the game, whether it's in the NHL, AHL, or ECHL, speak out about this and say, hey, this is wrong, that would be extremely helpful.
I can't wait till McDavid says it is what it is.
Oh my gosh.
He's too busy losing the care, probably. I can't wait till the NHL put hashtag end racism on the Jumbotron and we get a crappy video package for a week. What was it? They just did it for that round?
Yeah, it just said end racism. Yeah, on the Jumbotrons.
Bush League. And then the HD, they're like, we're trying. And the league are like, cool, we don't want any part of it. Disgusting.